PNC News First is presented by the Bank of Guam, the People's Bank. Pizza Hut, we're taking pizza to where it's never been before. Taco Bell, the only place where you live Moss. Colgate, the #1 brand recommended by dentists. And IT&D.
PNC News First, broadcasting live in high definition from Tumon, Guam, on KEQI and KTGM, and on KPPI on Saipan. Here is your PNC News team.
Half a day and good evening. You're watching PNC News First. We are live from our broadcast center in Akanta. I'm Jolene Tovis. Thanks for tuning in. Topping our newscast tonight, for 2 years, Mark Torrey Jr. has been on house arrest, accused of pulling the trigger in the shooting death of fellow police officer Albert Piolo. But it's back to square one as a new trial is gearing up. And with the hopes that his good behavior counts for something, he asked the court to modify his release conditions. Let's go to the report.
The only charge pending against Mark Torrey Jr. is aggravated assault as a third-degree felony with the special allegation. But according to his attorney, Jay Arreola, if the government intends to charge Torrey with negligent homicide, a new indictment or a preliminary hearing is needed, and the government must present the new charges to a grand jury, including evidence that was not suppressed by the Supreme Court.
Actually, as a practical matter, he's not even been charged yet with the new offenses because we have to decide the motion to amend and whether or not it's going to go back to grand jury. But technically, as it stands now, the convictions were vacated, and although he remains under the court's jurisdiction, our position is that the bail condition should be modified.
Arreola requested that Torrey's house arrest be lifted and that Torrey be released on a $5,000 personal recognizance bond, further requesting that the $250,000 property bond for his pretrial release be returned, pointing out that since 2017, Torrey has not violated any conditions of his pretrial release. Torrey was found guilty of negligent homicide and third-degree aggravated assault, both with the special allegation of possession or use of a deadly weapon. He was acquitted of murder, manslaughter, and second-degree aggravated assault. Winning his appeal to the Supreme Court, the convictions were overturned, and the case was returned to the trial court. With a second trial now in the works, Arreola says that the indictment against his client must be modified to avoid double jeopardy. The Office of the Attorney General disagrees, arguing that the proposed indictment does not allege any new or different offenses. It simply modifies the degree of the charged offense in the initial indictment, reducing the charges of manslaughter to negligent homicide, with the special allegation as a lesser included. The AG contends that Torrey's rights will not be prejudiced by this change, citing that a reduction of the charges and change to a lesser included do not substantially change the ability of the defense to offer evidence or prejudice the defendant, pointing out that the Supreme Court did not dismiss the case, but instead vacated and remanded it back to the trial court. While Arreola cited to the court that the language of the statute relative to indictments state that it can be amended at any time before a verdict if not charged with new offenses, he says that Torrey has the right to a grand jury indictment and that it's not appropriate under the plain language of the statute to include an additional offense and a different offense in the indictment by amending it, citing that the case is back to square one, bringing into question whether this means that there is no charges pending as opposed to square one with the initial charges.
The court has taken both matters under advisement and will issue a decision in 30 days. The next hearing is set for October 24th. Continuing to look at crime, $7,000. That's about how much money two men made off with after robbing a game room over the weekend.
When Logan Jr. Elias and Harry George Cook Cruz entered the Game Time game room in Tamuning, they did so with the intent of making off with the cash. A court complaint details that at first Elias took a cell phone from a game room employee and then restrained her. As this was happening, Cruz pushed the victim into an outside hallway and restroom. That's where the assault began. The victim told police that Cruz repeatedly punched her in the neck and shoulder before pushing her into the restroom, not allowing telling her to leave. The victim recounted hearing loud noises, and after some time, Cruz left her unguarded, allowing the victim to make an escape to a nearby business, reporting the crime in progress. The two men are accused of taking approximately $7,000 before making their getaway, but they didn't get far, as surveillance footage allowed authorities to identify Elias, who coincidentally was the high school classmate of one of the responding officers. But it was Cruz's Toyota Tacoma which led police to their capture, as it was later located in the garage of the Grand Plaza Hotel in Tumon. Confirming that the two men rented a room at the hotel, police staked out the truck and were able to apprehend Cruz, who initially denied having anything to do with the crime or Elias. Police obtained a search warrant for the hotel room, where they discovered Elias and a third individual identified as Michael Jordan Babauta. Police say they discovered methamphetamine on Elias and a pipe on Babauta. It was then that court documents state Elias blurted out to police, quote, "The black bag is the money bag you're looking for, sir," end quote. The admission led to Elias further admitting to the crime and implicating Cruz as the mastermind. He also told police that his cut from the robbery was about $4,500. Booked and confined, the two men appeared in court this afternoon to answer to the charges against them, which include second-degree robbery, theft as a second-degree felony, theft as a third-degree felony, third-degree robbery, aggravated assault, and possession of a Schedule II controlled substance.
I believe the strength of the case to be strong.
Probation, any history? Yes, Your Honor. The defendant has 2 active cases, Your Honor, and 2 closed cases. His first active case, Your Honor, is CF 730-18. It's a possession of Schedule II controlled substance. This case is currently on post-judgment.
Conviction.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
His second active case, Your Honor, is CM 740-17. It's a retail theft. This case is also post-judgment, and it's with the judge proceeds.
Cruz was held on $10,000 cash bail. As for Elias, his attorney was not initially present and was placed on second call. Babauta was meanwhile charged with possession of a Schedule II controlled substance and held on $3,000 cash bail.
Cruz will appear for a preliminary hearing on September 20th. Governor Lou Leon Guerrero has announced her approval of the Government of Guam's health insurance plan. For fiscal year 2020, Aetna International will be GovGuam's exclusive insurance provider. Among all the bidders, the governor said Aetna offered the most economical and beneficial healthcare insurance proposal plan, as mandated by law. Jerry Crisostomo, the plan administrator for Netcare, which is the Guam representative of Aetna, spoke to Andrea Pelicani on News Talk K57, assuring a transparent and seamless transition for all GovGuam employees and retirees from their previous health care plan to the new plan.
So, our goal, both Aetna and Netcare, is to make this as seamless, as transparent, and as least disruptive to GovGuam employees and retirees. Individuals that have, we contract with practically every provider on island, Netcare does. So, for instance, we have a contract today with FHP. So, GovGuam members under Select Care can have access now to the FHP clinic as of October 1st. So, that's a big plus. If you were a Take Care GovGuam member, you didn't have access to GRMC. Now you'll have access to GRMC.
Crisostomo said Netcare's relationship with Aetna is now going on 8 years. Aetna is an American-managed healthcare company in the mainland that sells traditional and consumer-directed healthcare insurance and related services.
There'll be an opportunity for Aetna to introduce themselves in the market. That should be the Aetna team has arrived on Guam. There's a big team that's going to be on the ground here to help conduct that transition, from the incumbent carriers to themselves. But there'll be an opportunity to introduce Aetna, who they are, their different programs that they're offering the GovGuam employees and retirees, and this the whole pre-enrollment process that they'll be introducing.
Crisostomo said the Department of Administration will give more details of the new GovGuam contract within the next few days. Well, coming up next on News First, Public Health has an announcement on the SNAP waiver application extension, and high schoolers prepare for their future at the annual college fair. Those stories and more. Stay with us.